Hey everybody, it's the Welcome Mat, and it has been a while, but I'm back, and I am actually driving right now on my way to an Imperial Assault tournament. So I wanted to give you guys a little store recap, a store championship recap. I have recorded this video, or it wasn't a video, it was an audio on my phone when I was driving back last weekend, but I've had a lot of trouble converting the file and uploading it to YouTube. Maybe because I'm a novice at this, or maybe because I don't want to pay money for programs. But all I have to say, I wanted to give kind of a shorter recap of what happened last week, and then talk about the list I have for this week. So I'm going to be talking about Star Wars Imperial Assault. If you've never heard of it, it's a miniatures game by Fantasy Flight Games. I am driving right now, so I apologize if there's any background noise, but you know, it is what it is. But Imperial Assault by Fantasy Flight Games, it came out, I think it was around the holiday season of 2014. I picked up the game for my birthday in 2015. I got a really nice deal for it, and opened it, kind of played around with it, played it once or twice with my sister when she was in town, and then hardly touched it after that, just because I've been working on my master's degree the last 4 years, and I've been working full-time as a manager at a restaurant. So I've, on top of my church responsibilities and other things, I've just been way too busy to have time to get into one board game that requires a lot of investment, like Imperial Assault. And my wife didn't really like it, so I couldn't go through the campaign with her, or play just fun skirmish matches. So that's why I haven't played it till now. But man, now that I've graduated, I've had so much more time, and I've been able to play. So I went to my first tournament last weekend, a store championship. It was at this place called Gamers and Geeks in Mobile, Alabama. If you're ever in the area, I definitely I recommend you check it out. They were also running a Super Smash Brothers tournament. They had tons of tables, really big space, great lighting, clean bathrooms, well kept areas. They had tabletops for miniature war games as well, and lots of terrain. So whatever your cup of tea, they had the stuff there for it. It was a really nice place, and really great staff. They were very friendly. So I had a great time there. There was 9 of us competing in the tournament. We played 4 rounds, and I guess I'll start by telling you my list. I ran a mercenary list, or the slang term, I guess, is scum. My star was IG-88 with the new skirmish upgrade focused on the kill. I had Onar Koma and BT-1. Then I had Temporary Alliance. I brought in Gideon and C-3PO. I had one group of elite Weequay pirates, and I had an elite Jawa Scavenger, I think is their name. So that was my 40-point list. I can give you guys in the description my command cards, because I couldn't name them all off the top of my head. But I ran all of the major hunter cards that are all the rage right now, like Assassinate and Heightened Reflexes, Tools for the Job. I think I ran Glory of the Kill, where after you defeat a figure, if you're a mercenary figure, or it's either a mercenary or a hunter, you get you recover 3 health. Opportunistic, where you get to, after doing an attack, I think it's after an attack, you get to move 3 spaces with any mercenary figure. You know, obviously the staples like Take Initiative, Blaze of Glory for IG-88. I think that was the only character card I ran in my list. No, I ran Gideon Argus's Take Them Down, which if he's up next to an adjacent figure, then they can perform an attack and you apply +2 damage. So that worked out really well with BT1 and IG88, because BT1 fires that 4 dice attack, and you throw 2 damage onto that, and it's brutal. Yeah. The one thing I wasn't running, I should have ran with the list, was Deadeye. There was a few attacks with Onar where I really needed the extra range. And Deadeye's a 0-cost card that gives you +2 accuracy. And Onar's 2 surges are -2 accuracy for +2 damage. And then the second surge is -1 accuracy for +1 damage. And so you're really wanting to roll well with your blue die, and you effectively have to treat Onar almost as if he's a melee character. You really don't want to be any more than 1 or 2 spaces at the most away from your opponent. Usually I would get... depending on my opponent, if they were running like a bunch of smuggler stuff, and there's a lot of smuggler cards that can affect characters if you're adjacent to them, I would keep them 1 space away, just so I wouldn't trigger those cards. But yeah. So anyways, let's go through each of the games. That was my list. First game, I played a guy named Daniel from the New Orleans area. It was really great. I got to meet two couples that were there from the New Orleans area. So most of us there were actually from New Orleans, Metairie, that whole area. And he was running an Empire list with 2 sets of elite jet troopers. He had Captain Taro and a dewback rider. He had BT1, 000, an Imperial officer, Zillow technique. I think his BT1 had Scavenger weaponry, the one that lets you exhaust the card to apply +1 damage to an attack. And then I think his troopers, his jet troopers, I think they both had targeting weapon, or targeting computer, I'm sorry, the one that lets you reroll dice, the upgrade. I think it's a neutral upgrade. So yeah, I think that was all of his list that I can remember at least. We were playing a Jawa's map. We were playing the mission where there's 3 different stashes, one in the bottom, the middle, and the top of the map. And if you're controlling it at the end of a round, you get 4 victory points. And he really jumped out early and grabbed those stashes, and I think he scored a good 8 points, and I maybe got 4 on the first round, but he got more points on those, and that really he did really great with the stashes. The big move for me early was he sent his Taro right at me at my deployment zone. We both opened our those doors that are right by the deployment zone, leading to the little middle area there. And I was able to take out his Taro maybe in 2 attacks. Like he went down hard, and that was a big blow to him. I think he maybe got off 1 indiscriminate, or not indiscriminate fire. That's Bosk's. His flamethrower. And actually, now that I think, he may have not been able. I think he may have just attacked. I think that was where I was a little surprised, is he, instead of rushing him all the way in, he just pulled him back enough just so he could attack. And I think he would have hurt me more if he had just went in and done that. If I'm remembering correctly, it was a week ago. But that was a big move. He sent in his 000 into my deployment zone too, but there was only a few figures left when he sent him there. And I was able to kind of just ignore 000. He didn't do a lot. His star players were his jet troopers. They fought over Onar for that stash in the middle, and Onar was able to use his rush ability to knock one of them off. That was a critical play for me, knocking them off of the terminal and taking control of it. I'll talk about each of my characters at the end, but yeah, so the game was really close. It came down, it was either the 3rd or 4th round, and we just kept taking figures out, and it came down to he ran into the Rancor pit with his Imperial officer. He jumped down the chute thing that like lets you take a strain to go down there, and I had chased him with my Gideon because the officer, like, I needed him to die. So I was like, if he doesn't die, he wasn't going to win that round. Well, actually, he would have. Well, he wouldn't have won, but what would have happened was he would have had enough points that all he needed to do was kill one of my Weequay pirates, and there was one that was like already low on health, and the game would have been over, because it would have, if he got that stash, it would have put him at 37 points, and then all he does is, and I think he was going to get initiative or something, so I was pretty much like, yeah, like, the chances are if I don't kill this officer, he dies. So I sent in, of course, IG-88, because I'm like, you know, IG-88's gonna, I'm gonna get up close, roll red, green, red, green, he's dead. And he dodges it. So, and that was with my second IG attack. His first attack, I used to kill someone else. And then he ran down his officer down the chute, and then Gideon chased him, and luckily Gideon was able to take him out one shot. He didn't roll a dodge that time. So, it was really close game. It could have gone either way. He played his risks really well. He really maximized Zillow technique. He used that a lot. I don't know. Part of the one, I think, was he made a few mistakes. Like, he tried to play Grenadier at a bad time, and it was just like a couple of just mistakes, I think. But I mean, I made mistakes too. But we didn't lose a ton of figures that game. A lot of the points came from those stashes from the first round or two. So that was my first game. So I was 1-0. Went to the second game. I played Ashley, who was also from the New Orleans area, and we played on. I'm trying to remember which map we played. We played the Cantina. We played the map, the Anchorhead Cantina, the Obi-Wan mission. We played the one where you, if you put patrons on, there's 4 different patrons, and if you put one on it, you get like, it's like 1 victory point for 1, 2 for 2, and then 5 or 10, or it's like, no, maybe it's 2, 5, 10, and then 20 points if you get all 4 of them, or something like that. She got a ton of points from the patrons. I think she got, like, I don't know, she already had like enough for maybe 5 or 10 points by the first round, but she really went for that. She was running a mercenary list with Jawa, Onar, Vento, Bosk. There weren't any Weekways, and I don't think there were any Gamorrean guards. It was a lot of unique figures. I can't remember what else was in there. There was an IG-88, maybe Shyla. I don't know. So yeah, that map. I got nervous early on because I sent in my BT-1. Vento was controlling the terminal in the middle, and he was doing some damage with his 2 attacks. And so I sent in BT-1 to just take him out. I was like, alright, we're going to do a big hit. I had a couple of command cards in my hand. Anyways, she dodges the attack, and then BT-1 is left completely exposed. So I got really nervous, and I think that game, BT-1 got taken out fairly early, and I got really nervous that my BT-1 went in and then completely wasted his good attack. Yeah, so, but I was able to kill off a couple of key figures. We kind of had like an Onar showdown, and I was able to take her Onar out, and that was big for me. And then I was able to take out her Bosk without him doing too much damage. Bosk really lives or dies with those dodges. Like, that's so huge for him. So yeah, I think I kind of just... Sorry, I'm driving right now. The phone's talking to me. Yeah, I don't remember a ton from that game. I remember that I was able to take out a couple key figures around 2, and at that point it was pretty clear. She even, like, I was still struggling to get all the points I needed, so she started moving her Java. She even used bully with Java. She got him that close. I'd never seen that done before. I thought that was hilarious, but I mean, she didn't go down without a fight. It was a good game. So that was the second game. So I was up 2-0. Third game was against another Ashley from the New Orleans area. And we played a good game on the Now Hutta Swamps. We played the mission where there's like crates, and you spend 2 movement points to pick up a crate and gain 2 victory points. And then at the end of the round, you put crates within 2 spaces of your opponent, one of your opponent's figures. So she got a ton of points from crates, probably like 20, almost 20 points. She shot out there the first round. She had Rebel Sabs with this 5 speed. She had, what else did she had? She had a couple of Jawas, regular Jawas. She also had Java, the Rebel Sabs, which I thought was interesting. Bosk. I don't think she had Onar. I can't remember much else of her list, but I took out her key figures early on. I wasn't worried about the Rebel Sabs on that map just because they don't have range with the red-yellow dice, and they don't really have a lot of accuracy. And it really like hurt her. There was a couple attacks she tried to get in, and she was like 1 short on the range or something like that. And so I really benefited from the map against her list. And because the map is so large, it kind of renders their blast ineffective, because my figures don't really need to be adjacent to other figures for the most part. The only one that really does that is 3PO. So like the blast wasn't a big worry for me. So the Sabs were they didn't do a lot. And I took out her boss. She sent her boss down the corridor on the right side. The shortest corridor. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like the narrowest one. It's the one next to, if you have like the 4 corridors, it's the one next to the one that has the weird impassable terrain at the top that makes one of the deployment zones, unless you have a mobile character, almost impossible to get to that crate on that corridor. So yeah, she went all out for the crates, and early on she had a sizable lead on me, and I was really nervous. But I think she went so all out for the crates that it just kind of left her exposed, and then I was able to just hammer down on killing her figures. So yeah, early on the game was close, and at the end I was able to swing it in my favor, and I won like 41-27 or something like that. So yeah, at that point I was 3-0. Went into the championship game. I'm blanking on the gentleman's name that I played. I feel bad now. His name it wasn't Dirk. It wasn't Greg. Maybe it was Nick. I can't remember his name, but he was from the Mobile area. He was running a list very similar to mine. He had IG-88, he had BT-1, he had the Elite Jawa. I think he even had Onar. The major difference in our lists, yeah, he did have Onar. Yeah, so we had the same 3 staple guys. The major difference was that I had the Elite Weequays, and he had the HK Assassin droids, the Elite version, which is an 11 point. So I had a couple more figures than him, because I had room with those 4 points to fit in, Gideon 3PO, all that stuff. He maybe had 1 or 2 more upgrades than me. I think he had Devious Schemes. He did have Devious Schemes. And, but what really hurt him was I got Take Initiative, and so I had Initiative the first round. I was able to play Take Initiative and take it. It was the Anchorhead Cantina map. It was the one where grab the crates, and then they're worth 10 victory points if you get them to the, I forget what it's called. It's like the drop-off point, the pickup point, or whatever. And you can take damage with the crates, and for every damage you take with the crate, it loses 2 victory points. So my Jawa, I didn't play Jawa. My Jawa Scavenger ran over there and grabbed the crate close to my deployment zone, and was able to. I had the deployment zone that has the terminal on the far left, if that makes sense. There's the terminal in the middle, and then there's the terminal kind of on the far left. The terminal that's by 3 of the crates, or all the crates are kind of over there. There's one by the terminal. There's one by impassable or difficult terrain. No, not difficult. Block terrain. So my Jawa went over there, grabbed the one by the block terrain, and that kind of so the fighting kind of broke out in the middle because the Jawa started going towards the middle. And then he had this card called Set a Trap, which I'd never seen before, or I hadn't remember seeing it, where you basically get, if a figure is stuck on that tile at the end of the round, then you get to attack, do an attack with one of your figures against that figure, or one of your opponent's figures. So that completely shaped the whole second round, and I was able to just barely fit in my C-3PO to block off my BT-1 and also throw in the surge cancel. And then there was one attack, I think maybe it was either BT-1 or IG-88 did against C-3PO that he dodged, and that was kind of a critical dodge because he had the reroll, so he got in the dodge. And I was able to make the Set a Trap. It still hurt me, but it wasn't as bad at when he first played it. He had it set up where it was going to be terrible. So I was able to get around that by some careful movement and just timing of when I did my figures. And the Jawa took some damage on the crate, kind of as a distraction. He was able to soak up a couple of attacks, and he kind of had to focus his fire on the Jawa because he couldn't give me, he couldn't give me 10 free victory points. So the Jawa became a huge distraction, and that was huge for me because the Jawa is only a 3-point figure, so he had to spend all these attacks on 3PO and the Jawa, which kept my main dudes away from the distraction, and I was able to hammer down with them. And then I used the Weequay pirates to kind of keep the boxes, keep him from wanting to run in because they were sitting there focused up and stuff. I made one done move where I overstretched one of my Weequay pirates to grab a crate, the one by the terminal, so that he was exposed, and IG-88 ran in there and one-shot him. That was the big mistake I made that game, but thankfully the Jawa was enough of a distraction that I ended up, it wasn't, I wasn't as scared most of that game because my IG didn't take that much damage. It was fine. So it ended up being 40 something to 17 is the final score. I just my getting those crates early was huge for me because it just put him at risk. I definitely see where that map favors faster characters. I definitely see why that mission in particular. Actually, both of the missions are just so strong with Obi-Wan, with his limiting control of figures is really powerful. And if you have figures that have a speed of 5 or even 6, if you have a lot of figures, then this map is really, or that map is really great for you. I think it really is. And those crates being able to soak up the damage at the least bit gives your character, even if you don't get the victory points, it makes them harder to kill. So it's kind of a win-win to pick up those crates. So I ended up going 4-0 and took home the store championship. I had a great time. It was my first tournament, so I was really nervous. I know I made a couple of mistakes, just missing things with timing windows and such, or forgetting to do stuff with some cards. and that wasn't, none of that was intentional. It was just you know, nervousness. Thankfully, none of my mistakes cost me one way or the other. I mean, I played great games. All my opponents played fair. They all played great. They had a great attitude. So it was a lot of fun. Talk about the characters on my list real quick. I think IG-88 is right now the best figure in the game. With focus on the kill, he's insane. And it's a shame you can't run him with the Soren list because you can't bring in skirmish upgrades with Temporary Alliance. You can only bring in deployment cards. Or you can only bring in two non-upgrade deployment cards. So you can't bring in focus on the kill. But man, IG is a real threat with that thing. Rolling 3 dice every time. He has an automatic built-in 2 accuracy, I want to say. His Relentless is great. A lot of times I would get him up kind of closer just so I can roll 2 red and a green. And, you know, if I could get him within 3 spaces, not only does he have the automatic range, because I know I'm going to roll the accuracy with my green die that I need, because it always gets a 1, but you also get the strain, and there was a couple times I forgot to use that, but it's really powerful. And 2 red dice and a green dice, on top of having sometimes those command cards, and 2 attacks, he's just brutal. I will say none of my opponents really focused fire on IG-88, so I don't know how that would affect him, how you play with him. He survived every single game, and I think the most damage he had was like 10 damage one game, and part of that was because he used Blaze of Glory. Yeah, I love running Glory of the Kill with IG-88, so he can actually get back that 3 damage from Blaze of Glory too. That's a great combo for him. I think if you ran a droid list with some lower cost droids, you could throw in a repair or 2, the ones that let you, like, if you're a guardian or leader, or there's one that's like, if it's a droid or vehicle, it recovers 3 health. Things like that could be really powerful with IG-88. Just keep him alive, keep him chucking out attacks. And the droid card, I had a couple nice droid cards too. I used, I used Blitz, which is helpful because sometimes you don't get that surge, and IG-88 loves that surge for +2 damage. The Pierce one is okay. I used it a few times. Most of the time, you're just putting through so much damage. It's not a big a deal. You would rather have the +2 surge for +2 damage. So most of the time, that's what you're using it for. I think he may have a surge for accuracy too, or maybe it's... I can't remember. And then, of course, he has the built-in block. So IG-88 is a force to be reckoned with. I think Onar is great. There's a guy, aficionado, I don't know how you say his name, on the Fantasy Flight community forums, who posted a list of all of the characters in the game through Java's realm, and he kind of put them into 4 tiers, 1 through 4, and ranked them based on how good they are for skirmish. And he put Onar in tier 2, and I think I actually disagree with him. I think Onar is tier 1. I think Onar is, even though he doesn't have a defense die, that 15 health guarantees that unless they're playing all of their hunter cards on him, he's probably going to survive at least 3 attacks. You can get there and use Rush to knock people off terminals or objectives, and if you wait to use him, and if you focus him early on too, I would usually I would focus him, and I would focus 1 Weequay, in addition to making the Weequays prowl, of course. And man, a 4 dice Onar, a 3 dice IG-88, and a 4 dice BT1 is really powerful. Yeah, so I got my money's worth out of Onar. I think if I would have added one thing, I want to try his command card, because since he's a guardian and he has